Hey everybody, just an update video. I set up that shrimp tank that I was talking about. So I had this tank in the garage just sitting there. I cleaned everything up. The wood I had in a previous tank, I'm not sure what kind of wood it is. It might be bogwood because it didn't want to float. So I got 3 pieces and just arranged them in there. Something for them to climb on. Triceratops has a hole in the base of the skull, so I think I'm gonna shove some moss in there tomorrow, and I'll probably buy a couple portions of moss. That way I could kind of wrap it around some of that wood. And I'm gonna go to Home Depot or Lowe's, whichever has it. I want to get some of that white pool filter sand. It's basically a bunch of silica beads. It's almost like this stuff. I'm gonna clean that tonight, don't worry. But yeah, so it looks like that sand, but that sand I actually got off Amazon. I was just impatient and was looking for something to do tonight, so I used about an hour of my time and set up this tank. So with the shrimp tank, for anybody that is going to get into shrimp, I highly recommend sponge filters. Okay, why sponge filters? Shrimp babies are small. They'll get sucked up into the intake tubes of hang-on back or mechanical filters. I will probably part-timely run a heater in here. A couple years ago I set this tank up for shrimp in my garage just to see how they would do. They survived the whole winter in my garage. I had the heater obviously, but it gets down to about 30 degrees at its coldest here in the part of California I'm in. So what did I do setting this up? All I did was wash the substrate. I washed everything that's in there. Added prime and stability. And with shrimp, I don't normally like to just throw them in there. I like the tank to cycle. Just for the sole fact that shrimp are super sensitive and hate change. There's not a lot of aquarium hobbyists in my town, or at least that I know of. So I'm gonna have to get them from the next town over. Completely different water. So I'll be drip acclimating them. I'll show you guys how I do that with a piece of airline tubing and a specimen box. So we're probably gonna let this tank run for probably about 2 weeks, maybe a month. I want a little bit of algae to grow in there. I'm gonna be adding stability in it every day for the next 7 days. Oh yeah, and I'll probably throw a little bit of crushed coral in there, just for the fact that shrimps need, harder water. They need that calcification. It helps with the shedding of their shell. So yeah, and if you are going to get into shrimp for the first time, I highly recommend do your own research. I'm not a pro at shrimp, but I've done pretty good with them. The only reason I'm saying for you to do your own research is everybody has their own method, like I've said. Me personally, with shrimp, I go the whole 9 yards. I cycle the tank, I let it run, I add what they need, and like I said, I'm gonna add some crushed coral and some of that silica, pool filter sand. But yeah, so shrimp are a little bit more sensitive. And when it comes to maintaining the shrimp, you could feed them algae wafers, um, cucumber. They sell things called shrimp lollies. I'm not 100% sure what they're made out of. I personally have never used them. But I do know that shrimp will go crazy over blanched cucumber. So basically you boil it, and then you have a pot of like ice cold water, and you pour it in there, and it makes the cucumber shrink. So you don't got to stick a fork in there. And when it comes to water changes for shrimp, you really don't want to change much. I typically just did top offs with the shrimp, and very, very little water changes. So if I were to do a water change, it would be because I saw the shrimp were dying, and then that's when I would pull out my GH and KH test kit. Check the hardness of the water. Like I said, shrimp are super sensitive. And I'm also going to throw some duckweed in here just for the extra filtration. It's a root feeding plant. It'll feed off of the excrement in the water. I might even throw a couple little snails in there just so they eat up the decaying food, or if a shrimp dies, the snails will eat it. The shrimp will eat the other shrimp that died. But yeah, so I really want to get this going too. It's a small enough tank, that way when I move, one of my buddies could sit in the back seat of the car or the truck and hold on to it with the water pretty low. That way, they don't die. So when I move, these are going to be the first things that go up. And also, another thing too, I am going to add is cholla wood. Because I'm not sure that this wood is going to grow any biofilm, because they were in a 55-gallon tank before. So yeah, I'm going to get some cholla wood, because the shrimp will eat on the will graze on the biofilm. And it just makes for a good time for everybody involved. So yeah, I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, go pay some bills. I'll go to Petco and go grab some moss. It says snail free, but there's always a snail in it. It is what it is. So yeah, so we'll tune in about 2 weeks, and that'll be when I get the shrimp. I could get the shrimp tomorrow. I could chance it and put them in there. I'm pretty confident that they'll be okay, but like I said, shrimp are a little bit more sensitive. I was more comfortable setting up the tank the night before I got the zebra plecos and putting them in than I am with the shrimp. And the cost of the shrimp is significantly less. Yeah, so this is going to be cool. It's going to be fun. Excited to share this with you guys. I've already been Snapchatting all my friends that have fish tanks. But like I said, nobody lives here. I guess I was the only one that stayed here, but that was because of my job and family stuff. But yeah, so, and then also my videos also again might be far and few between for a little bit. I'm a tow truck driver, and I also keep bees. And it's getting warm enough now to where I'm gonna have to start working them again. If anybody's interested in any of that, I could post videos of that also. It's me and a buddy of mine that are doing it together. We just started last year. Last year we probably got about 200 pounds of honey. It was a pretty cool experience. Yeah, so if anybody's interested in hearing on any of that, I'll post some of that too. But yeah, so like I said, about 2 weeks to a month, depending how this tank goes along, we'll add some shrimp. And when you buy shrimp, you want to buy, like, me personally, I prefer buying no less than 10, no more than 20. Because with the shrimp tank, when you start it, it's either going to do good, and most of them are going to live, or they're going to have a rough start, and you're going to lose at least half of them. And also, it ensures that you get a good male to female ratio. And when I get those shrimp, I will show you guys the difference between a male and a female. I'll show you how to tell when they're getting ready to have babies. You could see them, you could see the eggs under them, and they're kicking them around. It's called fanning. But yeah, so, you know, I just want to share the way I learned for people that, you know, just want an easier understanding. I don't get into the nitty gritty, or, you know, I don't go crazy looking into it, because that only complicates it. And like I said, chasing numbers, the worst thing you can do. But yeah, so we'll get that going, and, you know, tune in for the ride, folks. Appreciate you guys watching. And then also, just to update on these guys, still no babies, some food floating around. I just did a water change the other day. I was gonna do a slight gravel vac, and I might drop a little ornament in there, because I feel like they should have had their babies by now. And some of them are looking like they've dropped fry. So I'm thinking they might have ate them, but who knows. But yeah, so I'm gonna do a little quick water change on that. Well, not a full water change, but I'm just gonna gravel vac that and put some dechlorinated water in, and get some of that floating food out at the freeze dries brine shrimp. I hate that stuff. The guy I got these from had them on fluval bug bites, so they're not taking the bloodworms. They don't like the flake food. The freeze dried brine shrimp was the only thing they were really going after. So, you know, we'll go from there. Anyways, you guys have a good night, and I appreciate everybody that's watched. I'm sorry my videos ain't the best. You know, I'm trying. I'm still new at this. And yeah, so hopefully it gets to a point where I can be more consistent for everybody. All right, well, you guys all have a good night. Thank you.